Hello, flower friends. Welcome to the Gardener's Workshop live shopping show. It is your friend in flowers, Lisa, and stand by, y'all. So I'm just checking to see, you know me, always wondering, did I really connect all the dots? We are live. It is your friend in flowers. There I am. Hey, flower friends, welcome tonight to the Cool Flowers. When do you plant? I just had to show off these precious little babies. These are also cool season hardy annuals, but they're not flowers. This is my edible kale that I'm getting ready to plant. But look how beautiful. These are 40 Black Magic kales. And if you've been following along with the show, we sowed these, what was it? The 14th, August 14th. So what does that make them? Like 2.5 weeks? Look at these babies. And we're going to look at them a little closer in just a few minutes. And I'm also even going to show you how I water them because they're bone dry. They've been sitting in here waiting for the show all day. So we'll take care of that together. Now let me get my tech stuff going here, right? And, you know, I'm really loving this. Oh, not sure what just happened. All right, y'all. Okay, now I got two screens. It's just kind of crazy, friends. So I want to welcome everybody, especially if this is your first time here. If you're just kind of finding us on social media, I am so glad you have decided to drop in. And so if we've never met, my name is Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm the owner of the Gardener's Workshop. And I have been a commercial cut flower grower, better known as a flower farmer, for over 2.5 decades. And I'm now on a mission to help empower other people, especially people that were just like me, that thought they could never, ever grow flowers, much less sell them. And so we do that by me demonstrating how I do it and what I do it with the same tools, seeds, and supplies that we offer here. That's kind of our thing. We offer the same things that I actually use. And I'm just looking at the comments, so I'm glad we're really live, y'all. So that is my mission. And so let me just get my little mouse over here. And in today's show, let's see, what are we talking about today? I actually have read this before. All right, so we're going to be talking about cool flowers. When is my planting time? And then I'm going to be doing my live demonstration of my favorite way to start seeds, which is soil blocking. And then you're going to see what I have growing now, which we're going to be looking at some of those. And then I want to talk about one of my favorite families of flowers that we grow a lot of here on my farm. And in fact, it was so funny. We officially starting Cool Flowers today, the seeds, and that's the family that we started. And you'll have to hang on for just a minute to see what, well, I'll go ahead and just tell y'all. What do you think? Rudbeckia. Holy cow, y'all. Everybody thinks, oh, black-eyed Susans, you just don't even know what you're missing. I grow 9 different varieties, all of which we are going to talk about here tonight, and why that family, if you're a gardener, that family is even more important to you because this family of flowers is totally responsible for the strong native bee presence we have here on my farm. Anyway, we'll talk about all that. And then, of course, y'all, I am going to show you, we've been talking about the big calendar that's coming out, and I want to just show you the sample. It's not printed, it's just the paper and the size, and it's just exciting to hold it in my hands. That's coming up here before long. And remember that we're going to do a little Q&A at the end. So if you have questions that come up during the show, type in the comments at Lisa, or you haven't gotta put at, you just put Lisa, and put your question, and that'll alert me that that's one that I need to snap up. So friends, we have so many new people joining us every single week, and I know I have you all to thank for that. You know, the share button is right down there on the bottom. That's what the little arrow up next to the heart is. And we love it when you guys do that, and it helps us so very, very much. And remember that when you're placing your orders, to double check your email address and your phone number in here, and make sure it's a valid email and there's no typos, because we need all that to actually be able to ship you a package. Now remember, still happening, that any order that is seed packets only, the shipping's on us. But if you buy products, doesn't matter how many products you buy, you pay one shipping fee of $11.95. So that means you can buy 7 products, but you still just pay $11.95. And we do ship to all 50 of the United States, but we do not have international shipping available. All right. So if you are just joining me here, if you've just stumbled upon us on social, again, a really, really warm welcome. But what I want you to know is that we have a app, which is free, and it just levels up your experience. First off, all of this conversation going on in here amongst our live viewers is really fun to be a part of, and you have to be in the app to do that. If you want to grab it, you have time to go get it and get back over here. Go to your phone's app store, search Gardener's Workshop, and then we have 2 apps. You're looking to download the Shop app, and it's free. And then come right back over here, and we'll be right here waiting for you. But that just allows you to have a lot more functions and ease of use, and to communicate with us. All right, so the other thing I wanted to say is, if you see people posting the sunflower emoji like here on my shirt, that is the TGW family, is what we call them. And those are people that are either members of my private flower farmer club or my students. And we just love it when they send us love by showing those sunflower emojis, and love that so very, very much. So let's talk cool flowers fall planting. So I'm not talking about, there's more than one window, but we're talking about fall planting tonight. And so first, I want to say, what are cool flowers? Not everybody knows, right? First off, Cool Flowers is the name of a book that I wrote about cool season hardy annuals and how to figure out how you grow them. And so that's what it's all about, cool season hardy annuals. And they can be planted either in fall for some of us, even in winter for some people, but everybody can plant in very early spring. They don't just survive or tolerate cool to cold conditions. That is their jam. That's what they thrive under. And finding the right timing for your garden is the key, and that opens the door, y'all. What flowers are we talking about? We're talking about bells of Ireland, sweet peas, snapdragons, feverfew, lizzianthus. There's like over 50 cool season hardy annuals for you to grow. And when you get them at the right time, get them planted, y'all, you've just never, it's the easiest plants to take care of. So when do you fall plant? So these are questions that Susie, who is the producer of the show, and she's also involved in customer service. So she's asking questions that they get asked all the day long, and then I'm going to answer them, right? When do you fall plant cool flowers? Here is the simple, short answer, okay? 6 to 8 weeks before your first average expected frost date. I'll read it again. 6 to 8 weeks before your first average expected frost date, okay? So with transplants, you have a little bit of wiggle room there, right? Because the seeds sprout indoors, you don't need to rely on heat being available outside. So you can go a couple of weeks beyond that if that happens to happen to you. All right. How do you find your specific planting time? So it all starts with 3 simple pieces of information, y'all. Your first fall average expected fall frost. And you get that off the internet, y'all. It's not you remembering something from last year or even the year before. And you can get your first fall frost, your last spring frost, and then your winter lowest temperature. Okay, those are the 3 key pieces of information that once you know those in concrete, you can like rule the world with cool flowers. I mean, I'm not kidding you. So how do you find out? Search online. You can write it down. And this date will help you discover when to plant. And y'all, that's why I think that this new big calendar journal that'll be coming out later on in winter, November, December, this is going to change everything, because you're going to write it, you're going to look it up once, and then that's going to help you to plant your garden every single year. It's going to be amazing. All right, so how do I find my winter hardiness zone? So what that matters for is that tells you what your winter lowest temperature is, and so we can figure out which plants are going to survive winter for you. Again, search online. So for instance, I just go to a search engine and say, what is my winter hardiness zone, and put your zip code in if you're in the States. And that will come up and tell you. It'll bring up a map, or it'll actually just tell you. There's so many resources that can fill out that information. And so that zone really helps you to figure out what you can fall plant, right? Because the flowers that will survive your winter can be planted in the fall, and there's huge benefits to doing that, right? So get your calendar out, and you're going to mark first your first fall frost. That's your first piece of information. Write that on your calendar. Then you're going to count back 8 weeks to the date to find your first planting date. So let's just say mine's mid-November. So we count back, and I'm not counting, but I'm going to guess it's mid-September, right? So I would write, 8 weeks right there. That to me tells me that's 8 weeks away from my first fall frost. So what about, and so here's the other question. Even once you figure it out, when you're supposed to plant, it's like, all right, how do I plant? Do I direct seed them, or do I transplant? And friends, this is not up to you. This is, you do the way that the plant or the seed prefers, and that means it's easier when you follow the easiest way to get the seed started, right? So the way to start a seed is written on every seed packet that we sell. It's in my books. It's on my website. Like if you go to a Snapdragon seed on our website, if you read the details, it's all right there. It tells you how it prefers to be started. Started indoors. It's right there. And it's going along with the way that it's not that the plant prefers it, but that's just a way to say it. It's like, what's the easiest way to get that booger to wake up and sprout, right? That's the point, and that's the preferred method. Now, let's talk about direct sowing for just a few minutes. People are really confused about planting. Do they plant seeds at the same time they plant transplants, or what? Because I'll just say, I'm going to guess, there's probably about 10 or 12 cool seeds and hardy annuals that really like to have their seeds planted out in the garden. It's the best way to do it, okay? And let's say that I'm planting 10 of those. And then I have like 15 or 20 transplanted varieties, right? You would start the transplanted ones weeks before to have them ready to go to the garden 6 to 8 weeks before your first expected frost. But guess what else? You are going to plant those seeds you could plant them on the same day, because seeds need the warmth that's still going on 6 to 8 weeks before your first frost, right? That's what wakes them up and lets them know it is time to sprout. And the goal is you plant that seed 6 to 8 weeks before your frost. It's going to sprout. And then that 6 to 8 weeks is its runway to grow up into a little plant before it has to go dormant for winter, okay? And that transplant that you planted on the same day in another bed, it needs that 6 to 8 week runway too. But it's not sprouting. It's already sprouted inside, and it's a little plant. But it's going to lay down roots and become well established, which that seed plant is doing the very same thing. You just don't realize it. So that they're ready to hit dormancy well established, okay? So we're going to direct sow 6 to 8 weeks before that first expected frost, and you're going to water them every day until they're about that tall. Now, when you start your seeds indoors, if that's the preferred method, you're going to have to start the seeds indoors a number of weeks before that planting date that you just figured out, right? You have to start it before so you have that ready. Because you want to have like a 3 to 5 inch plant to actually go to the garden. And again, you can just look at your calendar and like, let's just say, okay, I'm supposed to plant in mid-September. All right, if I'm supposed to have transplants, then how long does it take me? That's on the seed packet also, by the way, y'all, how long it should take to grow a seedling of normal size. Okay, count back 4 weeks. That's when you should start your seed. It is all simply looking up those frost dates, then knowing what your winter hardiness zone is so you know which ones you can fall plant, and then look at your planting date and then figure out how far back you need to go to start the seed. It sounds like a lot, but when you sit down with a calendar and do it step by step, which that big calendar journal is going to just walk you through, okay? All right, speaking of which, that's where we are, and I'm going to show you guys, okay? So I showed it for the first time today to my private club members, and then I did flash it on Instagram today also. But I just wanted y'all to see, so this is the sample the printer sent us. Look how big this booger is. This is the whole secret to the thing. This makes every day like 2 inches by 4 inches. That allows you to write really usable notes. Oh, y'all, I need to change the product. Wait a minute. I need to bring it up. All right, there we go. And Suzanne is in the design stage of it. This front page is going to be a step-by-step to walk you through basically more in depth with what we just did. Plus, it's going to have 8 different planting windows. Those are your successions. How to figure out, can I plant all those? And then you just lay them out, y'all. That's what we do. That's how we have had a garden full of flowers for all these years, right? So the big calendar journal, you want to get on the wait list because that means that you will be notified as soon as the pre-sale opens. And if you're one of our students or my membership, you will get a 48-hour runway before it goes public because we have a really special bonus that we're going to be offering to the first printing of the calendar. So that's going to be really fun and exciting. So if you hit the button, that's just going to put you on the wait list. That wait list will then be notified when the public pre-sale opens, which we anticipate that'll be in early October at this point. And so we're super excited, and I cannot wait for this thing, y'all. All right, so let's start off with the baby step for Cool Season Hardy Annuals, right? This is the book that started everything for me, y'all. Before I wrote this book, I had been traveling the country doing like 60 to 100 lectures from coast to coast, teaching about, they weren't called cool flowers. We knew they were cool season flowers. Nobody knew about it. And it was really very exciting, very tough. I had to do a sales job to every group I went to, y'all. Nobody understood it. And here we are, 11 years after it was published, and now the cool flower concept is known worldwide. That is pretty dadgum amazing. It still blows me away. So this is, if you aren't familiar with the concept, this is the first step. This is a little book, y'all. It's only 160 pages. This really lays the land of the basic concept. It was actually written for home gardeners with my 25 years of gardening experience. Well, it wasn't 25 years then. It was like 15 years of my experience wrapped up in here. And I would love to sign one for you. And when you buy the book from us, we actually give you a free video book study. And here on page 29, if anybody has the book, there's a fall area. There's several pages that just talks about the different seasons that you plant. This is really the first step to really learning about the concept. And would love for you to have one of those. Now, if you're a flower farmer, or you're thinking about flower farming, or you are an avid gardener, Here is the next step. That is the Cut Flower Handbook. This is my book that came out last year. And this book incorporates warm season and cool season. There's 66 flowers featured in the book. And this book was written, so if you come up, this is the question I hear all the time. Oh my gosh, I want to grow cut flowers so bad, but I know nothing. I wanted the book or the resource to say, here is everything you need, and that is this book. Every question I get, I'm telling you, the answer is in this book. And it's more than just about the cut flowers. It teaches you how to set the bed up, prepare the soil, harvesting. It covers the whole enchilada. And first off, I have to show you the back. The imagery is just gorgeous in this book. My sis took almost half of the pictures in this book. And so, again, we have a bonus for you when you purchase the book from us, and that is the flowers that wouldn't fit in the book, y'all. There's actually 6 of them, and 5 of them are cool flowers. And so I would love for you to get this book. We give you the link, and you can download it, and let me give you a little tip. If you print your PDF at 85%, look, you can put it inside your book, and it fits, and it doesn't get messed up. But these 6 flowers, 1 warm and 5 cool, are formatted just like the inside of the book. And totally love this. So that means there's 41 cool season hardy annuals in this book. 41. You get 5 more, so that's 46. So love this, and if you want to grow Bells of Ireland, this is your ticket. So, and of course, I sign all the books, and I'm honored and love doing that. So let's see what I'm supposed to do next. I never turn my page here. All right, so how I start cool flowers. As you know that I'm a soil blocker, which is a method of seed starting. I was introduced to it 30 years ago, and it just was the perfect fix for me. I don't have greenhouses. I still don't have greenhouses. I had very limited indoor space to seed start, and it worked out beautifully. And so I became a seed starter, which I'm going to demonstrate for you in just a minute. But if you're already soil blocking, then you know we do sell the ready-made mix. This means you just add water to this to actually make your blocks. It's a 6-quart bag. This bag makes over 600 of those little blocks. Speaking of which, let's look at these again. And I want to water these. So this is my kale, and I'm going to water that for you. But look at this. This is my Swiss chard, which I'm trying to eat better, y'all. Trying to eat more vegetables. And I'll tell you the honest truth, the selection, I don't care how upscale your grocery store is, they still are not like growing it at home. So these are all getting planted here before long. But look how this is 40 plants on this little tray. This is like 8 by 5, 40 plants. That's pretty awesome, right? And then I wanted to show you, because this kale is pretty dry and you can really see it. So this isn't in the show, but it is in the app. I love this watering can for this reason right here, because it has a gentle pour, and I just, you know, when the plants are this big, I tend to put a little bit more water because those blocks are pretty dadgum dry. And can you see there's water still floating around in there? And I'm just going to give that a couple of minutes, and then after I demo, we'll see what this looks like. So that's what I do in my grow room. I go through and water all the trays, and then when I get to the end, I go back to the first one to put my eyeball on it. And that's really key to not leaving water in the tray, but more importantly, making sure that the blocks are watered all the way through. And so this is the blocking mix. Blocking mix is different than seed starting mix. It binds together and just does a really great job. This is $15.95, and there is bigger bag. We have a 20-quart bag available over on our big website. And then, you know, it doesn't matter if you buy our blocking mix or make your own at home. We recommend sifting all of it. Same reason that you sift flour, y'all, before you make a pound cake. It just makes for a better finish. And that's what this does. It fits perfectly onto a 5-gallon bucket. And I love this thing. I mean, I don't get to do it hardly at all anymore. This was one of my favorite, like, winter sunny afternoon jobs, is to get a bale of whatever it is I needed, whether it's compost or peat moss or whatever, and just sift the entire thing and fill a galvanized trash can in here so that my DIY mix is made, the ingredients are made. This makes it so easy because it just sits on the bucket. I stand up at a table and gaze at the birds or whatever. Love this. It is how much is this? $24.95, and absolutely, it's just resolved a problem for us, and we were just so thrilled to actually have it. All right, so, you know, one of the things, I know I mentioned that I don't have greenhouses, so even if you do have greenhouse, space is always at a premium, right? And so it's really important to use the size tray for the number of blocks you're making. That's why there's so many different sizes, y'all, and I use them all. So these are reusable foam trays. They will last for years. We just wash them up and use them again. This is the 5x5 tray, and it's $1. It's 5.25-inch square. It's $1.95 for a 5-pack, or you can get a 25. This is the one that you saw with the 40 on there. It's $2.95 for a 5-pack. And then this is the size that comes in our kit. And this will hold 3 sets of 20. And again, it's a 5-pack and it's $3.95. We literally reuse these trays for years. All right, so how do we actually make these? First off, I want us to revisit. Already, this tray has been sucked dry. Did you see how much water I put in there? When I come back to a tray and it's like this, I think I need to put more water, because I can promise you the the soil blocks in the middle are not truly wet all the way through. And, you know, I hear from people all the time that their blocks, I don't know if I can talk and do this, y'all. Wait a minute. So I'm just pouring more in. And I'm going to put a little bit more. Because what you need to not be afraid of, if you put too much water, and especially at this stage when they got a lot of roots, you can just pour it off. So better to put a little bit more than you think you need. So we'll set that back down again. All right. So how do we make these blocks? Is that what I'm supposed to be doing next? Yes. All right. So let me demo how we actually make those little blocks. And if y'all see here, I'm going to use this little guy, but we use these trays over and over, and I'm supposed to be planting Rudbeckia. Stand by, let me get some. Hope I have some here. I think Bobo planted all of them today. We'll find something to plant. The reason I want to plant Rudbeckia is because it is surface sown, and I'm pretty sure Bobo planted all those. We'll plant an equally troubling seed. See if there's, yeah. We'll plant snapdragons. That's just as frustrating, right? I'll show you how to do that. All right, so I'm going to show you how I make soil blocks. So this is the small blocker. We import these from England. It's the original company that's been making them. Mr. Ladbrook started it. You hold the blocker on the stationary bar, and I like to push it down twice to make sure that the chambers are just nice and full, not packed, but firm. And yes, this is a potato masher. And so I use trays that have no ridges to hold water, and it has no drainage holes, y'all, which makes doing it in a home so easy. And then you just press and push the plunger there, and we just made 20 little containers. I mean, it is truly that simple. It takes a little practice, but once you do it, you will just, you'll be addicted. That's how I became a flower farmer, y'all. Started doing this, and I was so successful. And you know, snapdragons were literally the first seed I ever started. in soil blocks all those years ago. All right, so soil block, snapdragons are teeny weeny. Let me grab a seed pan. Whenever you have tiny seeds, this is just indispensable, because it's an aluminum seed pan that has no static electricity. What that means is that those tiny little seeds, I put a little saliva on a dirty toothpick, and when you touch that toothpick to that seed, it literally hops right onto your toothpick. Snaps get sown on the surface, and I am basically wiping the seed onto the surface, which is firmly seeding the snapdragon, because if we read the instructions on the seed packet, it said, do not cover seed. Snaps need light to germinate. And y'all, you can go I'm pretty quick at this, especially if I'm not standing here talking and doing it in an awkward position. That is how you sow seeds and make soil blocks. So, let's look at, I'm going to show you the soil block maker, which is $39.95. So you can, there is a kit that you can purchase, the soil block maker kit that has everything you need to start, or you can buy them individually. You can grab a bag of the mix and buy the blocker, and you're ready to roll. And so this is the size that I use 95% of the time. I guess it'd be nice to see my head too, wouldn't it? Not just my mouth. And so the soil blocker, this is the one, hands down, that I do zinnias, cosmos, marigolds, celoseas, basil, azuratum, all of them that I would be starting. Snapdragons, all of them. What don't I use this for? Sweet peas, sunflowers. Their seeds are too big, right? The seeds are just too big to go into it. So this is the ticket. This is incredibly space savvy, because here's what will answer why, because I get this question all the time, why in the world don't you just use the bigger blocker? This is why. This bag will make approximately 600 of these little individual blocks. This bag makes 30 of the 2-inch blocks. I mean, it's a huge difference, and it's a space thing. So, bag of the soil and the soil blocker, and you are ready to roll. Now, how do you get the seeds to actually germinate? Even cool season hardy annuals need warmth to sprout, y'all. And that is when we use a seedling heat mat, okay? Has a built-in thermostat which is keyed off of the air temperature. And because cool season hardy annuals are cool lovers, but they still need warmth, this is like one of my mom's old cookie cooling racks. Literally, so it has little 1-inch legs on it. I just put this on top of the cookie cooling rack to make a little airspace. That provides warmth, but it's not hot. And for all my cool season hardy annuals, this is what we do. We put a cookie cooling rack on the heat mat. That provides consistent warmth, which tells the seeds to wake up and sprout. And so we leave the trays on this seedling heat mat until like 50% of them are showing signs of life, meaning cracking or sprouting. Then you take it off the heat mat and move it over to your grow light, right? So the heat mat is $39.95, and the cookie cooling rack is the ticket, y'all. That does a great job. All right, let's move that out of the way. And then one of the things that I have learned to use and just totally love it, so we don't use plastic domes or saran wrap. I mean, I've heard all kinds of ways to do it, and there's not that that's a wrong thing to do. However, it is just really easy to introduce disease and fungus because it traps so much moisture. You have to really monitor the domes. And y'all, I know my limitations. I know that I go to my grow room one time first thing in the morning, and then those babies don't see me again until the next morning. I don't think, I mean, there's just so many other things to do here that I don't even think about them. So I knew that a dome was not for me, and actually I learned that from Elliot Coleman. He just felt like it was too easy to introduce disease, so we actually use the wide weave burlap. See how big the holes are? Just in a single layer. Just lay that on top of your soil blocks. You can cut it to fit your trays, or you can keep it in a big sheet, whatever works best for you. And it works fabulous, particularly for surface sown seeds like celosia and snapdragons. But the thing is, you remove the burlap at the first sign of cracking, because they'll grow right through that. They'll pop through that burlap hole in a heartbeat, and then you'll rip them all out by their roots. So it's a learning curve, but it helps to retain moisture on the surface of the actual blocks. It's about 3 feet square, and you get one piece for $3.95, or, oh, and I didn't even change. Y'all, I'm still back on trays. I'm so bad. So everything I just talked about is in the app. Sorry. So there's the burlap. A 3-pack is $3.95. A 1-pack is, I'm sorry, 3-pack is $9.95. A 1-pack is $3.95. And that just helps so very, very much. And now I want us to look at the Rudbeckia seeds, right? And I am going to remember to bring these up because I know they're a pain to try to find. And let's see here. The first one, you know, I say every one of them is my favorite, but I totally love this one. Y'all, this is chimchimney. And this is the coolest flower. Do you see how the petals are fluted? They're like little tubes. Let me tell you, you know me, I always have a reason why I love something, and it's not because I love the way it just looks. The pest damage that sometimes happens on Rudbeckia petals, spots, and you know what spots are, right? That's bug pee and poop. And that doesn't happen on chimchimney because the petals really aren't easy for them to walk around on. I love this one. It's got a nice mix of color, big, beautiful, and people just think they are so funky. If you sell to florists and to designers, they will love this guy. So I told you I was going to tell you a little bit more about Rudbeckias. And Rudbeckias are a family that really draw native bees in. Native bees are not honeybees. Honeybees, you know, aren't native. They are have to be cared for and have a home provided in a box, right? All of us can have native bees in our garden. There's like over 4,000 different native bees just in the United States alone, and they're right outside your back door. And they're desperate for some place to live and to eat and have babies and all that stuff. And this family, this is my, look at this one. Look how double she is. I'm quite smitten with her. This is also an excellent landscape one because it's on the shorter side. It's still tall enough, but she is definitely her blooms last forever. And we absolutely love this girl. And gosh, for bouquet making, the blooms are not that big. They're like this big, and that just makes them so darn useful. And this one doesn't get as much damage either. It is just not easy to walk around on all those petals. But native bees really, really love the Black-Eyed Susan family. Now, if I had to pick a favorite, I have 3 favorites for bouquet making. You just saw Maya, she's one. My favorite part is that they're just not huge and they just go with everything. The next one is Prairie Sun. Look at how light and bright she is, a green eye. So all these Rudbeckias are winter hardy up to zone 5. So that means if you're winter hardiness zone 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, you fall plant these babies. Some of them, which we'll get to it, bloom for Mother's Day when you fall plant them. I mean, how awesome to have another big flower to use in your mixed bouquets. Prairie Sun, again, that could really be a good landscape plant, but it is an excellent cut flower. Now, I'm really sentimental about this one. This is Indian Summer. This is the first cool flower I ever grew, y'all, all those years ago. She's huge. I don't particularly like her in a bouquet anymore. It's kind of hard to use because she's just so big sometimes. But the designers love them. People, they think they're sunflowers. They're just so confused, right? It's really beautiful. And when I fall plant this one, we literally get her and Goldilocks, which you'll see in a minute, for Mother's Day, which is just so very, very useful. This is just a big bee favorite. Now, this one, Triloba, which is not a Herschia Rudbeckia, it's Triloba. This is a spray black-eyed Susan. And it's a little trickier to get the seed to sprout, but they reseed. We had 100 probably by 15-foot wide bed that supported our bouquet program. I mean, we just never had enough of these. And so our island has actually been overtaken by another invasive native. So we're starting them this year to actually be able to replant them. These don't bloom until late summer. They're blooming now. Love them. Then this one, I resisted growing this one for several years because I kept hearing people belly aching about how short the stems are, but they're not, y'all. This is Sahara. When you fall plant her, she has 38-inch stems. It's really beautiful. Look at those colors. It's really, really pretty. But it's dark, so I wouldn't be planting a whole bunch of it, but it's really nice to put one stick of that in a mix of other flowers, right? And then this one is hands down the native bee's favorite. This is Denver Daisy, and I just can't tell you how precious. So it's got an eye right there, and then all of this is this velvet burgundy color. I mean, I just can't even describe it. I grew it the first time because I thought, well, we're going to sell the seeds. I need to grow it first, right? I fell in love. And then every time you go out there, there are so many little native bees with pollen breeches running around on it, and you can really see it because of the dark color. Denver Daisy, I mean, you got to love it. And it's like Sahara. One of those in a bouquet is awesome. And then look at this one. This one kind of made me smitten too. This is Cherry Brandy, and it's just a different color, right? So I don't grow tons of these dark ones, but that makes them even more special when people just get one stem, perhaps, in a bouquet. And then, almost last, we saved my very favorite one for last. This is next to last. This is Cherokee. Cherokee is one of the hardest ones to sprout. Don't ask me why. And so look at the mix. It's really a beautiful mix. Some years we have great germination, other years, And I know it's environmental. We're trying something different this year. I'll let you know how the experiment goes. But Cherokee is tall and big and voluptuous and just really beautiful. But here is my favorite because she is small and she's the earliest one to bloom. This is Goldilocks. She's about that big. And I mean, to have a Mother's Day focal flower is just really pretty priceless to us. So we start all of these and plant them in the fall. And then if you want to extend your harvest, you can start them again in January to plant them at whenever your seed starting time for very early spring plantings are. And that's the wrap up, y'all. And I'm going to see if we have any questions. So I'm going to get to that. But I wanted to just review, Rudbeckias are such a significant cut flower crop. You know, just the native bee thing alone, but it's a great cut. Some of them are strong reseeders, others are not. You have to see what happens in your garden. And you can harvest all the blooms to help prevent reseeding if that is a problem to you. They are slow to grow in seed starting. So it's the first one we always start. So we've already started those, and that's usually 6 to 8 weeks, which is kind of a long time for soil blocks. And you surface sow Rudbeckia. And so they really do well in soil blocks, and you just have to keep the surface moist, and just be sure to seat the seed really well, and then use the burlap to actually help to retain that moisture. And so if you joined late, I will be looking now after I go through these notes to see if there's any questions. I know there's some over there. So put it in the comments and I'll see how many I can get done. But it's time for us to wrap up, friends. So if you're not going to stay for the Q&A, thanks for joining us. I'm really glad you're here. Thanks for learning more about cool flowers. And hope you'll try soil blocking. Well, you'll never go back once you do it. And to learn more about cool flowers, grab one of my books. It just really makes it simple. And you need to try Black-Eyed Susans. It is just the funnest place ever to spend a sunny afternoon and watch the bees just have a really fun time. So remember that over on our big website, thegardenersworkshop.com, we have all kinds of resources over there, y'all. That's where we have videos over there, our blogs, our podcast, there's 2, Seed Talk and Field and Garden. And remember to meet me back here on Friday for the show. We'll have the big harvest here for everybody to see. And what are we talking about? We're talking about prepping beds. So that's the next best thing. After you start your seed starting, once you get your seeds going, then it's time to focus on the beds, right? So stick around. I'm going to take a look at what we have for questions in here. So let's see. Go to the top. All right. Hello, everybody. All right. Cozy cherries. Are the cool flowers the ones that will bloom and grow in the fall and winter? So cool season hardy annuals, depending on when you plant them, it is possible to get them to bloom in the fall, but that's not where it's too late to plant them now for that. But once you're successful getting them to bloom during their natural season, which is spring and into summer, then you can experiment with that. But yes, they are spring bloomers. So Rachel says, I never thought I'd be able to grow anything. 2 years later, I'm hooked. Y'all, why do you think I became a flower farmer? You know, I mean, it was like I started gardening and dabbling. Then I saw Elliot Coleman literally on PBS. This is before we had home garden TV, y'all. That's how old I am. And he was soil blocking, and I wasn't really into seed starting. I thought, that is just the coolest thing. And then once I met Steve and realized he has this big garden space, I'm thinking, I'm going to have to start. That's what kind of led me to soil blocking. And then I was so successful after failing miserably with all the other methods. I was an overnight success seed starting, and it's like it had me hooked, line, and sinker. So I know exactly what you're talking about, Rachel. Oh, Robin said she joined the club today. Robin, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. So I have to tell y'all that the master class for September in my Flower Farmer Club is about prepping soil. It's like deep, it's like going through it, you know. Suzanne was about pulling her hair out today because of all the different pictures and stuff that I was asking her to drum up. But you're going to love it. That drops September 15th. You know, when you join my club, you have access to all the past master classes, all the past podcasts. The podcasts are called Bloomcasts inside there. All the old sewing circles. We meet up every Wednesday for that. The Flower Farmer Forum, the community board, which is priceless. So I'm glad you're here, Robin. I'm glad you joined. Heather says, do all of the Black-Eyed Susans need to be put in the freezer for 2 weeks before starting? My trilobia and Cherokee did not germinate, or is that just some of the Black-Eyed Susans? So, Heather, I think I saw your comment somewhere else. Maybe it was in the club or in the student group. So Bobo and I talked about this today, and we've decided that we're going to try. So we've never really done any kind of priming of seeds. Technically, they're not supposed to need it, but we know that putting cool season hardy annuals in the freezer for a couple of weeks, it doesn't really, I guess it does kind of prime them a little bit, but when you take them out and start the seeds and they get warmed up, that's just a clear trigger, right? They went from cold to warm, hello, wake up, right? Well, what we're doing with our Cherokee and our Triloba is they were in the freezer, but we took them out, and now she sewed them. I don't think we did Cherokee yet. We did it with Triloba. And we're going to put them in the refrigerator in the tray for a couple weeks, or a week, I think we decided on. And we're going to see if that helps. Because I can almost promise you it's air temperature is the whole problem. So we're experimenting, and you're not alone. But I have great success with the other Rudbeckias. All right, how can we contact you privately about an order? Well, you can't contact me privately, but you can contact the Gardener's Workshop at info@thegardenersworkshop.com. I'm pretty sure, I can't look at the app because I have it live, but there's a way on the app once we're not live for you to contact, but you can go to our website. It's at the bottom of every page, and they'll be happy to help you. Lisa, thank you for all your helpful advice. What do you suggest as focal flowers for cool flower season? New cut flower farmer in Michigan. That is a struggle for me because I feel like most of the cool flowers that I grow are not really focal flowers, and I don't grow tulip. Well, tulips wouldn't even be done by then. I don't grow a lot of perennials and bulbs. Peonies are a focal flower for us, which are usually by Mother's Day, but that was behind the whole early bird sunflower program that we now practice, where we start sunflowers and plant them actually 3 weeks before our last spring frost, with coverage, with covers and hoops to get them, and to get them small and to grow them in colors that don't look like sunflowers, the whites, the lemon, the peach. And for 5 years now, we have people all over the world starting and having sunflowers for Mother's Day, because that's a push. It's in the Cut Flower Handbook or in the sunflower section. We talk about it every Wednesday in the Flower Farmer Club. That's one of the things that we do. I'm still sowing sunflowers for fall. But check out the Cut Flower Handbook. That has all the details. And that's what I rely on them for. Lisa, if I don't have extra heat mats, what else can I do? So you can, if you have cookie cooling racks that have little tall legs like these that my mother had so she could stack, put another rack underneath of it. I do the very same thing on my heat mat. So there's a heat mat and there's trays down here. Be very careful, but I make a second layer with little racks like this. You only do that for so long and you buy more heat mats. Or you make a germination chamber. But that heat still escapes and gets up there, and you will see a little bit of less germination up there, but that's better than none, right? Let's see, Lisa, any cause or reason why snapdragons germinate and does not produce leaves? Yes, because it has helmet head. That's where, if you look, the seed shell is probably still hanging on, and that comes from a lack of moisture during the birthing stage. Misting the top of the blocks is something you can definitely do while it's wild. Before they've sprouted, you do that. You're moistening that surface sown seed. And so what I have found is that most of those, if you let them just go on, another sprout will come out at the base of it. Or sometimes I've been known, and I'm just so bad about going back and checking, sometimes I'll just clip that little head right off, and then a sprout will come. So that's what I would do. But that's what it is most likely. If you look really close, I bet there's a tiny seed shell on there. Lisa, I'm growing cool flowers in my hoop house. Do I still plant 6 to 8 weeks before my first frost, or should I wait an extra 2 to 4 weeks? So I don't have any hoop or greenhouse growing experience. Wait, I have to stop. We have to look at this. So here is the tray that I watered, remember? And there is just a little residue of water in there. I don't know if y'all can see it. So that tells me, how has it been, 20 minutes? That tells me these blocks are completely wet, moistened. And I will pour off this excess, and these guys will be very, very happy, and they're thoroughly watered. So I just wanted to show that example. So in a hoop and a greenhouse, You know, I really don't know about timing on that, but I will say this. A hoop house usually buys you one zone south of you. So let's just say you're in zone 6. That means your hoop house technically probably is zone 7 for cool flowers. So that just means that you could plant in your hoop house, potentially, those that you might not be able to overwinter outside. But on the timing, I would think it would be about the same, because I shouldn't even talk about it because I have no idea. But that's what I would think, is you can grow some stuff planted in the fall that you can't grow outside. That would be the big bonus for me. Rebecca, so you're saying you need to have an actual plant before the first frost, then it goes dormant and freezes, then it comes back to life. Yep. So it doesn't go, so you plant a little plant out there. Sweet peas are a great example. It's got a little vine about that tall. You plant it. 6 to 8 weeks before you plant a transplant, seed, 6 to 8 weeks before your first frost. That allows them to get well established and rooted in. Then cold comes. And they just kind of stop dead in their tracks. And you want it to be a little plant. You don't want it to grow big before it goes in the winter, because then it can't survive, right? And honestly, I could do a whole podcast on the scary visits, especially back in the first 10 years, of me visiting my cool flower garden outside, frozen, looking, and it's called peeking under the row covers. And you're terrified because they like little frozen popsicles. But that little frozen popsicle is anchoring what's going on down in the soil. And yes, when spring comes, around that little tethered, beat up, frozen, wind-whipped little plant, all these shoots come up from around the ground. You just can't believe the sweet peas. Here in the South, it's amazing. So yes, and that's why, but the key is you have to plant on time for your winter hardiness zone at your frost date, and it'll be great. So Allie, I hope I answered that for you too. Love all your books, have been so helpful for me. Oh, Jenny, thank you. So Robin, if you don't have a printer, you know what a lot of people do is go right on down to a Kinko's or some kind of print shop and get it printed, or you can look at it online. You don't have to print it. It's just more convenient to print it and have it in your book. Lisa, what's the gold in the mix? What mix are you talking about, Tina? The mix behind me? Those are marigolds. Where do I get the trough you mix the soil together in? A cat litter box works great. I ordered your box. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. You're welcome. Thank you for your books and workshop. It's an affordable resource for everybody. Thank you, Jackie. We really try to make it real and to make it accessible for everybody. What if they need light to germinate with the burlap? The burlap allows enough light in. Let me tell you a little thing I've learned about, and we got to get off here, y'all. But I have showered and I have eaten. So what I have learned through the years, when a seed says that it needs light to germinate, it does need a little bit of light. But more than that, it needs oxygen. And oxygen's only really available on the surface. I learned that from Elliot Coleman too. And because what did I learn? That all those seeds that they say needs light to germinate, like snaps and celosias that are surface sown, they germinate in my blacked out dark germination chamber. Figure that. It's the oxygen, y'all. So the burlap is not a problem for those. It allows some light in, but it's really about the oxygen. So I think it actually enhances that. I never have petals because something eats them. Indian summer is the one that gets chewed the most. Indian summer is the biggest, most vulnerable petals, no question. Lisa, does prairie sun keep reblooming when cut? Yes. And the blooms last a long time in the garden if you're going to use it in your landscape. Heather, what kind of lighting do you use in your grow room for seedlings while they are on the warming mat? No light. No, other than overhead lights like you and I use when they're on the heat mat. I have seedlings in the warming mats at one end of a table and the grow light on the other end of the table. Should the seedlings be somewhere else? Why germinate? I hope that makes sense. So the problem with having a grow light in close proximity to a heat mat that's sprouting seeds is if they sprout and you don't catch it for 12 hours, let's just say, all those seedlings that just sprouted, you will not believe how fast they stretch and lean. So I just keep them segregated. I mean, my grow lights are 3 feet away from where the seedling heat mat is. So you'll just have to kind of experiment and see. Does Trilobia Black-Eyed Susans give a second bloom after cut? So not in the sense like a zinnia that just regrows a whole stem, but there are lots of other stems on Trilobia. We probably get 4 to 5 weeks of cuts off of it, and I mean, we used to cut hundreds of bunches of it. Goldilocks is a chrysanthemum? No, it's a Rudbeckia. I have an issue with birds eating the petals. Do you have a solution? If you're talking about Rudbeckias, you may be waiting too late to harvest them because they're going for seed. And we harvest them long before they start developing seed. Where can I get a great white chrysanthemum? I do not grow chrysanthemums, so I am sorry I can't help you. Lisa, do you ever put plant snaps for fall blooms? Yep, we got them going now. I don't know if we're going to make it before frost to get them to bloom, but it's just timing, and it takes a little bit trickier. You know, I say to people, until after you've grown cool flowers for a couple, 3 seasons, and you are really nailing it, then start messing around. You have to start them in the heat of summer, grow them up in the heat of summer, and get them planted outside and keep them happy until they grow into their season. Lisa just read a garden love story. Lisa and Steve, love this story. Thank you for all your guidance in my fall planting of cool flowers. You're so welcome, Amy. James, what kind of advice can you give a gardener in Northeast Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, Zone 9B? You know, well, James, you can probably grow year round. You just have to be, I tell you who you need to follow. Blossom Lane Flower Farm. Blossom Lane. She's in Florida. She's big time. She was one of my students. She took my class, Dave Dowling's class. She took all the classes. She and Daniel Shavy of Petal Pickers and Nicole Pitt of Flower Farm Hill in New York. All of them were some of our first students. I mean, they all are just crushing it now. But she's in Florida. And you need to follow her because you can like follow along. I'm not sure exactly where she is in Florida. I don't think, she's in the north. She's not at the bottom. So check that out. She would be the best guide. Misty Hook. I love the club. It's worth every penny. I've watched every single thing in there. Misty, you're my favorite right now. We have so much content in our club, y'all. And we're making it and piling it in there, and we're thinking, does anybody really look at it? And we know people do, but thank you for saying that. When should I start snaps for fall planting? I'm in zone 7. When you start them has nothing to do with your zone. It is your frost dates. Get the Cool Flower book and follow the steps. The zone only tells you if you can plant them in the fall because they'll survive your winter, which they will for you. I just ordered 3 of your books. Actually, no, two of them, Cool Flowers and the other one, Excited. Oh, good. Congratulations. I'm in Australia wanting to start zinnias. What size soil blocks? The small one. Love listening to your podcast, too. Any other tips regarding zinnia starting? Thank you so much for your inspiration. Cheers, Bendy. All right, so starting zinnias. So she's the opposite of us, y'all. She's in Australia, so they're heading into... they might be in spring, but they're heading into summer. Zinnias only grow for 2 to 3 weeks in the soil block, and they're ready to be planted. They grow kind of fast. Be sure you use heat to warm up the soil, and they'll do great. Glad you're here. The gold foil in the... Sorry, Sandra. The gold... I'm the worst typo person too, but I cannot make out your code. Sorry. If you're still here, Sandra, type it again slower. Oh, in the potting mix. All right, thank you, Misty. Yes, that is vermiculite. That's in the potting mix. It's all natural nutrients that are in the potting mix. You know, when I first saw it, I thought, is that fish scales? Is what exactly it looks like. But it isn't, and it doesn't stink. And yes, it is awesome potting soil. All right, friends, we are going to sign off here. So tomorrow, let's see, today is Wednesday. Tomorrow, I do 2 lives, and I'll be showing a little bit of the harvest at 12 noon on TikTok, 1 o'clock on YouTube, and then getting warmed up for our big show on Friday when all of the flowers will be harvested. And we have a big event going on here Friday evening. We're having the Gardener's Workshop annual picnic here. And it's going to be fun. We always play a fun game, and I have tons of gifts that we collect all year that people, there's some way that they figure out how to pull for people to pick their gift, and it'll be a lot of, and we make bouquets for people to take home. So it'll be a lot of fun. So that's happening on tomorrow and Friday, and can't wait, friends. And if you're not already on the wait list for the calendar, get on it so you are the first wave of people to buy, because you don't want to miss the bonus. It's going to be great. All right, my friends.